But do you really mean it? You won't go anywhere?
I'll never leave you. I'll be here with you forever.
I think I understand how Emilia must have felt when Puck left her because I felt the same way a couple months ago when ReZero left me. But unlike Puck or my dad, when I needed ReZero the most, it actually came back. Starting off 2021 with brand new episodes of ReZero is seriously the perfect way to kick off the new year, and 2021 is already looking better than 2020. My first impressions for this second core of ReZero Season 2 is that the future is very bright, not only for us the viewers, but also the ReZero characters as well. Subaru no longer has to carry his burdens alone. Otto has mastered the art of stealth, and Emilia is finally single. Yeah, you know what that means. I did notice a bit of improvement in the art style. There were some really great shots. The voice acting and everything else was just as amazing as always, so I think we're gonna have a really great season here. But this new episode begins right where we left off in 2020, continuing the conversation between Best Boy and Best Boy. If you think back to Season 1, it's pretty remarkable how much Otto has developed not only as a character, but also in the minds of the viewers. Remember when he tried to feed Subaru to the white whale? When we first saw that, we all hated Otto. But since then, he's been doing nothing but growing as a character, and this episode served as another reminder of how far he's come. Not only does Otto now consider Subaru a friend and an ally, but as we saw in episode 8, he's even willing to die for him. Multiple times, Otto has uplifted Subaru during his darkest moments, and the truth is, ReZero as we know it would not be the same without Otto. So let's take a look into a parallel world where Otto never existed. Without Otto, Subaru wouldn't have been able to catch up to Emilia's carriage at the end of Season 1. With no one there to get rid of the explosive mana stones, the result would be dead Emilia. And remember, when Emilia dies, what usually happens next is the apocalypse. Eventually Reinhardt would stop him, but a lot of people would freeze to death first. Subaru would then be living in a world of hell, because if Emilia dies, that means the timeline differs from the one in Roswaal's Gospel. Like we saw in Season 2 Episode 11, Roswaal would start killing off main characters and eventually himself as a means of forcing Subaru to reset the timeline. So the point is, if you ever hear someone shit-talking Best Boy Otto, just remember that he's the very fabric that holds ReZero together. Alright, I might have exaggerated just a little bit, but seriously, Otto has influenced the story quite a lot, and he's one of the few side characters that were able to ascend beyond their supporting role. The author did give us some insight on Twitter as to why Subaru always tries to do everything himself, which apparently is because of Rem, which I kind of found interesting and thought it would be worth sharing. Anyway, this episode was mostly dialogue, but that's because it was the setup episode for all the action that's to come, and I think this next scene made that pretty obvious. The Roswaal scene in this week's episode pretty much sets up the plot for the rest of the season. At this point, all the surprises are over. The first half of the season established that Roswaal is the bad guy and Subaru is the good guy. This next half will be the indirect battle between them. So to metaphorically declare war against each other, Subaru and Roswaal make a bet. A straight bet. This amazing song was last played when Subaru jumped off the cliff in Season 1 Episode 7, which was pretty much the turning point of that arc. Similarly, this week's episode can also be considered the turning point of the current arc. Subaru now understands the many obstacles and challenges he has to overcome this season, and he's finally mustered up the confidence and determination to face them head on. So he makes this bet with Roswaal, and the stakes are very high. Subaru will put everything he has into his current life, and if it doesn't work, then he'll do whatever Roswaal says in his next life. However, if Subaru wins the bet, Roswaal will have to abandon his gospel. But let's think about this for a minute. Why the hell would Subaru make such a reckless, dangerous bet? If Roswaal wins, then ReZero as we know it is over. They might as well just adapt the Greediff story at that point, because everyone except Roswaal would suffer. So for Subaru to risk all of that, he would either require a gigantic set of balls, or a well thought out plan. And based on Rom's testimony, it probably isn't the former. This episode also gave us some valuable information during Subaru's conversation with Ryuzu. And yes, this is another new clone. So far, we've met Ryuzu Shima, Ryuzu Bilma, and now Ryuzu Arma. She explains that Garfield tried to take the trials and most likely had to face the moment he and his sister were abandoned by their mother. But as we know, Garfield couldn't pass the trials, meaning we can assume that this traumatic experience in his past is still affecting him today, and most likely has influenced his outlook on life and his views on the Sanctuary's liberation. We also got to see Emilia dressed in her casual clothes, looking absolutely adorable with a blanket over her head. And finally, Subaru asks Emilia what exactly she saw in the trial. What we learn is that a long time ago, Lolly Emilia lived in a forest with a bunch of elves and someone she considered her mother, who she refers to as Fortuna. Emilia seems to have repressed a lot of memories from that time, but knows that something really bad happened and everyone was frozen. Many years later, she broke free from the ice and met Puck, and after that, Roswaal showed up and promised Emilia that he'd be able to save all the frozen elves only if she wins the royal selection. I didn't think it was possible for Roswaal to appear more sus than he already is, but they definitely made that happen with this episode. Anyway, ever since Emilia met Puck, she's been reliant on him for almost everything. So at the start of Season 2, when Puck disappeared for no reason like Adobe Flash Player, Emilia wasn't able to do anything on her own because she still clung to a small bit of hope that he might return. However, now that she knows he isn't coming back, she finally has some closure and she can start moving on and doing things on her own. More importantly, the seal on Emilia's memories has been lifted. So after this episode, I think Emilia can finally give the trial a solid attempt. It's time for her to get some self-confidence and learn that she can do things on her own. And that's why it's important that Subaru lets her take the trials alone instead of taking them for her. Another reason this Puck scene was important is because it disproves a theory I've been hearing from the community. If we think back to the Frozen Bonds OVA, wait, are you telling me you haven't seen Frozen Bonds? Literally, what are you doing? Why would you be watching my videos when you could be watching the Frozen Bonds OVA instead? If you haven't seen Frozen Bonds, go watch it right now. If you care at all about Emilia's past as a plot point, you need to see this OVA. If we think back to the Frozen Bonds OVA, a lot of you guys theorized that Puck was the one responsible for freezing the elves, which would have explained why he disappeared at the beginning of Season 2.
A summoner has disconnected.
If he knew Emilia was gonna see her repressed memories in the trials, it would have made sense for Puck to abandon her because she probably wouldn't have forgiven him after seeing what he did. However, this week's episode showed us that that isn't the case. Puck had entirely different reasons for abandoning Emilia, which means that he most likely wasn't responsible for freezing the elves. So if Puck is innocent, then that narrows it down to just 2 suspects. Of course, it could always be the work of a character we haven't seen yet. But at the moment, Roswaal and Emilia herself are the only 2 characters capable of casting such a high-level freezing spell. It still isn't confirmed, but there's been a lot of little details that could be hints, so if you've been paying attention, you might have a good idea of who's responsible. And as always, I'd be happy to hear your guys' theories in the comment section below. Anyway, after some NSFW hand-holding, Subaru promises to stay there with Emilia all night. But when she wakes up, he's gone. In one of her most vulnerable moments, Subaru lied to her, even though he already knows how important promises are to Spirit Arts users. I remember how pissed I was at Subaru when I first read this part of the novel, so I'm assuming some of you guys might feel the same way. If you do, let me know. But overall, this episode was fantastic. It was mostly set up like I said, but at least we finally solved the Puck mystery. The coming weeks are going to be absolutely incredible. I'm finally going to see my favorite moments in all of ReZero animated, and I hope you guys are just as excited too. I am a bit sad that we didn't get the new opening or ending. In fact, they played the old ending, which surprised me, but it's all good. White Fox knows what they're doing. ReZero is the best anime ever, and this episode was another 10 out of 10. Even if you don't like the plot of ReZero, you can't deny that it's got some of the best characters you've ever seen. I think Otto and Subaru really shined this episode. It was great to finally see Subaru with some confidence, especially after everything he's been through, and Otto is just such a great friend. It makes me so happy that Subaru's got someone like him on his team. I can't wait until next week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you give it a like and subscribe to be notified when I drop another one. Keep talking about ReZero. I'm out for now. Peace.